Kuhli Loach have to be one of my favourite fish. If not for their appearance, then certainly for their personality. They are such great wee characters. The only thing that lets them down is that they're naturally very, very timid. They are naturally nocturnal, so they prefer to come out when the lights are off. But if you do want to see them during the day, dropping a wee bit of food in the front of the tank normally means that their curiosity and their hunger overrides their caution. Another thing you can do to make them more bold is to keep a good group of them. If you keep maybe 7 to 10 at least, that tends to make them feel more secure. I tend to notice, in fact, when you do drop a bit of food in, you get one braver one that will approach the food first, and the others will filter in behind when they know it's secure and safe to. Whilst we're talking about food, they are omnivorous, so they'll accept pretty much anything. Wee bits of flake, micro pellets, algae wafers, rapashi, live and frozen food, so they'll take bloodworms, daphnia, microworms, that kind of thing. And they're bottom scavengers, so they'll surf around the bottom of the tank looking for anything that they can devour. I don't think they eat snails. For a loach, well, there's a snail in the frame right there, and they don't bother my snails at all. They are certainly a fish that appreciate a planted tank. They like to hide away between the plants, and any other cover you can give them, like nooks and crannies between rocks, fallen leaves underneath wood, anywhere that they can burrow away, they're going to appreciate that. They'll burrow in the sand as well. In fact, they'll burrow in gravel too. And they are so good at it. They are so quick at doing it. Sometimes they've shot away and buried themselves in the gravel or the sand quicker than your eye can follow it. I'm going to say the best substrate for them then is sand. Not only because there's less chance of them getting injured when they do dig beneath it, but also they love to sift the sand between their gills and pick out microorganisms. You can see this fella there clearly doing that. They take the sand in through their mouth and push it out through the gills and extract whatever they're looking for. Otherwise, in terms of tank setup, they're pretty easy going. They'll appreciate floating plants because that's going to block out some of the light and encourage them out. But they're not a big fish. They're not going to have a big bio load, so you don't need a vast tank for them. Just a sensible sized tank for them to be comfortable adult length, which is 4 inches. And they can live up to 10 years. So that is quite a commitment. But to be honest with you, 10 years of these joyful fish, I think is brilliant. They are sensitive to water changes, water quality changes. So keeping the water clean is a must and maintaining it regularly for these guys. Anything you can do to maintain consistency is going to be ideal for them. But they can tolerate a range of parameters. Anything from between about 5.5 to 7.5 pH and 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. One thing you do need to consider is your filtration, because being a slender eel-like fish, they will get up into filters and they may jump out of tanks without a lid, so a nice secure fitting lid, that's going to be really important. Tank mate wise, they're an easygoing fish. They don't fight between each other and they don't bother any other fish. Just need to make sure they're not kept with anything that's going to swallow them whole. You might not want to keep them with anything that's going to be spooked by their quick movement. They do occasionally dart to the surface, and like I say, they are awfully fast. So anything that's going to be startled by them maybe isn't the best tank mate. Otherwise, you can keep them with pretty much anything. Mine at the moment are in with a pair of betta, and that's absolutely fine. They probably will eat baby shrimp, but they will leave the adults alone. Aside from that, they're a great wee community fish and great for a bottom dweller, because they're going to pick up some of the missed food at the bottom of the tank and stir up some of the debris at the bottom that are filter can suck up. They have forward-facing eyes, but they rely on other senses more so, with those 3 sets of barbels on the front. They dig around and that helps them to sense normally normally food, which is what they're looking for. They also have sensors all along their body, which are very, very sensitive to vibration and movement. So I would suggest a busy environment or somewhere that you're playing loud music is probably going to stress these guys out. They are from Southeast Asia originally, and most of the ones that you see in the pet shops are going to be wild caught. You might be lucky that they might breed in your tank and you'll get babies in amongst the roots of plants, but it's pretty rare. Sexing I found a little bit tricky. The only real way I've noticed is the females get incredibly plumper, especially when they're carrying eggs. That's one of the things that makes breeding even more difficult, especially in a community tank, because the protein-rich eggs are a great food source for other fish. They come in a range of colour types. I have the striped and the black variety, but if you happen to stumble across some of the less common ones, I would definitely snap them up. There's some really nice colours out there. Probably one of those situations where if you don't grab them and go home, you'll kick yourself all night for not getting them. That said, they are ridiculously difficult to catch. Don't be walking up to the pet shop employee and saying, I want that one now, because that's not going to happen. The easiest way to catch them, in fact, is, especially if they're in sand, drag your net through the sand, scoop them up, let the sand fall between the mesh, and hopefully you've caught a Kuhli Loach. I would definitely recommend, if you're trying to catch them in a home aquarium, removing as much scape as you can first, taking out your rocks and ornaments. That's going to give you the best chance. Dropping the water level as much as you can as well. That's going to help. The best thing you can do though, honestly, is set them up in a tank that they're going to thrive in and enjoy these wonderful, wonderful fish.